Dear students, today we are going to discuss about the problems of illiteracy and social change. Illiteracy in India is characterized by wide gaps between the urban and rural populations. The rural population depends mainly on agriculture and the rate of illiteracy is high, while the urban population is more of the employee class and also more educated. Illiteracy can bring down even the most powerful nations. So, if we have to become among developed nations, the government should first remove the problem of illiteracy by introducing effective programs with proper implementation and budget. It is ironical that even today, our leaders and people's representatives give literacy a very low priority, pitting poverty alleviation, food, clothing, shelter, work, health, etc. Above it, they fail to pursue literacy as part of the development process, as an endeavor to improve the quality of life, as the process of building awareness among the weaker sections, as part of democratization of political power, as the arrangement to give their due, to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. They are unable to appreciate the relevance of literacy in matters like infant mortality, immunization, children participation in primary schools, population growth, family planning, women's emancipation, social evils like child marriage, dowry, bride burning, and so on. Neglecting the issue of illiteracy can hurt the development of India very badly. Illiteracy is maximum among us scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and other backward classes who are not only poor but unaware, unconcerned, and unwilling to improve and change. Illiteracy deprives people not only of economic development but also of all benefits of education, reading, writing, remaining within the darkness of ignorance, poverty, and impoverishes. It is essential that the Government of India rises up to the occasion and take all possible steps to set up thousands of primary schools all around the country, making literacy and compulsory obligation of every citizen, without which they will be penalized. For this, the primary education has to be made free of tuition fee, all books and papers and instruments including computer to be supplied free. Unless all citizens are literate or educated, they cannot ever read newspaper, circulars, notices, advertisements, posters, and letters from near and dear ones. Illiteracy in our country is by far the most serious problem. We all recognize that illiteracy is bad and that it prevents the cultural growth of people. But illiteracy in our country continues to exist on an appalling scale. Even today, among 10 in India, about 4 are illiterate. Nor is there any organized effort to do away with this deplorable state of backlog. We tinker at the problem instead of tackling it thoroughly. We made experiments. The states have ambitious programs of setting up primary schools in every village, but these are yet in the cold shade of neglect. But illiteracy can be removed if concerted efforts are made both by private organizations and the states. For this, education must be made free and compulsory at least up to the age of 14. That is the plain directive of our Constitution. The function of education should be to direct the child's creative instincts properly. The problem of illiteracy in India will not be solved only by providing education for the children. Illiteracy is rampant among the older generation of people, particularly in the rural areas, and not a little of our social and cultural backwardness is due to this. Campaign among the illiterate adults, therefore, is also a crying necessity. Adult education has no long been only a piecemeal voluntary affair. However, it has now found a place in the different schemes and projects of the government. But much ground has not yet been covered to step up primary education. The segment has to be given top priority. A scheme of having a network of primary schools has been drawn up. Provisions for financing the scheme have also been made. If implemented, it will mean the first step towards a nationwide program of fight against the curse of illiteracy. According to the research done, it has been found that in some societies, girl education is not considered good. Girls are not given education. Such traditions are based on wrong notion and must be abolished. It is particularly important to provide education to women and girls, as the saying goes, if you educate a man, you educate one person. But if you educate a woman, you educate the whole dynasty or whole family. Removal of illiteracy is our main aim today, and observing the International Literacy Year has helped and supported such efforts as to approach the world illiterates. Spread and diffusion of literacy is generally associated with essential trait of today's civilization, such as modernization, urbanization, industrialization, communication and commerce. World Bank studies have established the direct and functional relationship between literacy and productivity on the one hand, and literacy and the overall quality of human life on the other. Several efforts have been made on part of the government to deal with illiteracy. The National Policy of Education declared that the whole nation must pledge itself to the work of eradicating illiteracy, particularly in the 15 and 35 age group. The biggest effect of illiteracy in India is poverty. Poverty also happens to be the single biggest cause of illiteracy in India and a precursor to all other effects. The inability to attain basic nutritious and potable water are the more popularly quoted effects of poverty in India. But the king of the hill when it comes to effects that can fracture an individual remains illiterate. After all, it is one of those things that actually lets people pick themselves up and out of poverty, even if they have to do it by the way of their bootstraps. The thing about illiteracy in India and its effects is that they are compound together to form a burden that is passed on from generation to generation, and if history is any indication, it is one that has been increasing with each generational shift and with each year added to the calendar. Now let's discuss solution of eradicating illiteracy. Illiteracy is a burning question today in India. It should be eradicated root and branch to make our life happy and prosperous. To eradicate this problem and to bring about social, economical and political improvements, all educated persons and students should join hands together in all possible ways. The UNO has been trying its best to remove this problem of illiteracy from the underdeveloped countries like India. More schools can be set up all over the country. There should be ample provisions in the central and state budget to fight illiteracy. Government should try to bring every child to school. Effective measures should be taken to stop child labor. Neglecting the issue of illiteracy can hurt the development of India very badly. Not only the government, but every literate citizen should contribute in battling with the demon of illiteracy. Our motto should be each one, teach one. If we are to become a developed nation, one of the initiatives is Teach India, whose aim is to provide a platform to educate Indians to provide assistance in basic education to the unprivileged children. Teach India will connect educated individuals with the specialist education providers. Let's now discuss about social education. The personal and social development of the students in the primary focus of this course. It provides opportunities for the students to examine and explore issues and topics related to self-awareness, interpersonal relationships, healthcare, and contemporary social, economic, political, and cultural issues. It also aims to prepare students for the transition from dependent to independent living. It was assumed that adult literacy would automatically become universal as soon as the universal and compulsory elementary education become a reality. Let's move on health education as an aspect of social change. The aim of health education is to enhance self-esteem and develop a greater understanding of other people. This will enable the students to develop their self-esteem, knowledge and skills so that they are better equipped to make positive life choices. The health education aims to enable the students to work collaboratively in groups, to encourage good listening skills and support for others, to develop the students' ability to communicate in different ways, to enable the students to experience enhanced self-esteem and self-confidence, to develop the students' ability to communicate more assertively, to increase the students' awareness of what it means to be healthy. Let's discuss community education as social change. It provides the students with an opportunity to acquire and develop some of the research skills. It aims at to develop the students' research skills by examining the historical and present-day development of their local area, to develop the students' sense of identity and pride in their local areas and a positive attitude to what it has to offer, to use the local community as a base for learning, to develop the students' map reading skills, to develop the students' awareness of the various factors that influenced the planning and development of the local areas, to make the students aware of the resources, amenities and voluntary organizations that exist in their locality. Let's focus now on awareness education as social change. The students, while reflecting on their own situation, will have many opportunities to develop basic helping skills, to develop responsible and respectful attitude and behavior towards oneself and others, to develop students' awareness and understanding of and vocabulary for expressing emotions, to enable students to develop a practice skills for managing feelings constructively, to improve students' communication skills, thus enabling them to develop strategies for dealing with criticism and managing conflict more effectively, to develop students' decision-making skills and enable them to learn a model for decision-making. Let's move to political awareness as social change. The aim is to develop the students' understanding of the social context within which particular issues arise, to examine the process through which events and happenings become major contemporary issues, to broaden students' understanding of the process involved in reporting, highlighting, and responding to issues, to analyze and study the role of the media and other relevant interest, lobby, camping groups in contemporary issues. Let's talk about taking charge as social change. It provides students with an opportunity to acquire new skills and knowledge and to develop the self-confidence required for such a transition. Its primary focus is on planning, managing, and organizing personal financial income and expenditure. The aims are: examine some of the real and immediate issues involved in living independently, analyze the decisions involved in moving away from home by taking into account his/her personal needs and the cost of such a move, practice and apply their skills of active investigating in the local community, acquire knowledge of the various ways of organizing and managing one's own finances and expenditure. So this was all about today's lecture. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks.